Every day, 7.2 million students walk into classrooms throughout the United States. These classrooms generally look the same. 30 students sit in rows of desks, taking notes in their notebooks, while the teacher stands at a whiteboard teaching a lesson. Regardless of ability level, each student receives the exact same information at the exact same pace. As Ms. Jackson presents this same material, the students respond differently. Tommy gets it, while Allison is bored, and Maria is lost. At the end of the day, these same students head home. While at home, they sit at the kitchen table doing their homework and trying to remember what Ms. Jackson said. Students like Tommy make it most of the way through the homework, while others, like Allison, find it easy and fly through it. At the same time, students like Maria get frustrated and need some extra help. Ms. Jackson recognizes that students have different needs and would love to work individually with each student, but this requires time and resources that her school does not have. One solution to this problem is the flipped classroom. Here's what it looks like. While at home, students sit in their rooms watching videos of the lesson that Ms. Jackson assigned. Tommy is still able to work at his normal pace. Allison is no longer bored because now she can use this new technology to fast forward through the easy material. And Maria is no longer frustrated because she can review the material that she didn't understand by pausing and rewinding. When she really gets stuck, she can get help from her classmates. New technology platforms like Moodle and Edmodo make it easy for her to chat online with her classmates. Just as the homework is different, the classroom is different as well. Instead of standing in front of the room speaking, Ms. Jackson walks around the room. She checks in with Tommy as he works collaboratively with some students. She pushes Allison further with some more challenging work. And she helps Maria with the pieces that she still doesn't quite get. In the traditional model, the teacher stands between the students and the knowledge. But with the flipped classroom model, the students have direct access to the knowledge, and the teacher serves as a coach, mentor, and guide, helping the students access this knowledge. The flipped classroom leverages technology in a way that lets both Ms. Jackson and the students make the most of their time and efforts.
I'm not Miss Jackson, but I have been using the flipped classroom for the last 2 years. Last year I worked as a learning support / resource teacher, I'm not sure what you call them here. So I work in a primary school and I work one-to-one learning support with children who the school has decided need extra help. Resource children would be children who have been designated time because they've been diagnosed with something. So I don't know the things correspond here. And this year I'm using it in a fourth class classroom, so they're 9 and 10. They're just turned 10. The majority of them kind of born 2003, 2004, and they are good fun. Feel free to tweet away. I'm a Twitter addict. At Grogan B is me, and my class is at Bianca. You'll find us in a little while. I use this slide at the beginning of this because sometimes I'm talking to people who are not into technology, but I guess if you're at this conference, you probably are in technology. But the point of it is unless you're going 88.8 miles per hour into the lorry to get to work, you already are 21st century teachers. So we kind of just need to make sure we remember that when we go to school. I like this slide, and my grandson recently has started in primary school, and he's very upset that they don't have, you can't even use the internet, because he was in a very small county council run preschool, play school, nursery, whatever it's called. And they had computers and they had the tablets and stuff they could use. They had iPad minis, and then he's gone to a kind of a more old-fashioned primary school, and they don't even have a computer in the class that he can access. And he's like Journey Macbeth, like they don't even have a computer, And it just reminds me of that. When I see that, I think of him. The presentation is the PowerPoint is on the net. Anyway, if anybody wants it afterwards, you can just take it. This is another one as well I often think of, because you always think of what's the first thing you do when you go back to school after the holidays. You think, what am I doing on my holidays? And it's like, well, can you not read my blog? And I know last year I thought, well, that's probably not really true, but this year, my 9 and 10-year-olds, a few of them have their own blogs, a few of them are using Weebly. More of them are using it now because we have a class blog, and they know how to do it because they're editing the class blog. Mums and dads have let them set up their own one, so they are now more than they were, I say, at the end of August. But I just think that's a funny one as well. So the kids are digital natives. They're speaking a kind of a different A to Z to us, and I think it's important for us sometimes to let them use that language in the classroom. So that's the end of my little spiel about letting the kids use technology. Okay, so the gist of the flipped classroom, you kind of got that from the video. It's posted, it doesn't have to be videos, it can be the material content, PowerPoint, a Word document, anything online, so that when they're coming into class, they already have the basic idea or general knowledge about what we're gonna do. They're not coming in thinking, wonder what we're gonna do today. It's like assessment for learning, if you think about it in that way. It's what we are learning too. It's the children knowing what we're learning and knowing that actually this is English and this is history now. We've moved on to history and we're doing science now, and this is what we're doing in science. Because I think sometimes you can ask children, what are you doing in science? We don't do science. We don't learn science in our school. What are you doing in geography? Oh, I don't know if we did geography today. And their teacher might have, planned for and did a great geography lesson that day, but never actually told the kids, this is geography. We're doing geography now, we're doing history now, this is an English lesson. They know what maths is, and they know what art is, and they know what PE is. God, if my kids don't get to go to PE, it's like, I don't know, like you're taking away their arms, they just, it's a really, but they don't always know what the other subjects are. And I think with this, the way I have it this year, and I didn't do it last year, and I'll show you in a minute, with this, they know what we're doing in each subject. They can say, well, in English at the moment, we're covering X, Y, and Z, and the same for the other subjects, and I think that's important. I'm beginning to see value in that anyway, in their conversations. I'll show you now. So that's just a little model. I've kind of talked about that, so I'm going to flick on. So, what children learn at their own pace. There's a couple of different people who are, there's two guys that have, you might call them the pioneers, or people who've made flipped classroom really popular in the States at the moment, and their names are Aaron Sands and Jonathan Bergman. And they've written a book about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's called Flipping Your Classroom, or Flip the Classroom, or I can't remember the exact title of it. It's a good book if you have no idea about the flipped classroom. It wouldn't be great if you're going to do research on it. It doesn't have a bibliography, it doesn't have any sort of referencing or anything like that in it. But it's a good starting point. If you go back prior to that, there are people who've been talking about this kind of since the 80s and the 90s, and blended learning is one way of talking about it. There's lots of different options. And then there's different ways. So there's people who say the flipped classroom means that, okay, I'm going to take you straight to the front, right? So you are flying along. So you can move on to the next stuff because you know what we're doing for the next 2 weeks, and you can keep going. You're kind of middle of the road, you're just pottering on with the way we would have been going had I been teaching, and just the way it worked out. You're going to stay, you're stuck on something, so you're going to keep looking at it. So it's kind of a mastery way of describing it. So kids can move at their own pace. Now I tried that last year with some kids, and with some kids it works, and with some kids it doesn't. So that's up to the teacher. Anything I say here now is not gospel, so it's just, I'm trying, and it's trial and error, and I guess it depends on the class, it depends on the kids, and it depends on the teacher, and it depends on what they have access to at home. But what definitely is true is that weaker kids can go back and watch the content and reread the content, and they can't do that if I'm teaching the content once in class, or maybe later on that week twice, or maybe I'll get to sit with that group and do some one-to-one work with them. But if it's online at home and they can watch it and watch it and watch it, and even months later they go back and watch it, you can't argue that they can do that all the time. And then with more able students, it doesn't always happen. More able students who are, have that kind of self-drive will keep going and will push themselves. But I have more able students who, even though they're able, and even though they read something once and they get it, they're still lazy. They're still, just because they're able doesn't mean they're going to push themselves to do stuff. So there's finding a balance between making sure the more able students are actually, following through with what they're supposed to be doing. So, and this, if you want to check it out, I just put that in there. This is a thing actually, it's really handy. I'm not going to show it to you, but it's a website where you can pull in a YouTube video or a video from anywhere, from Vimeo or from wherever you're watching it, and it's got like a word pad beside it, and as you're watching it you can type. And I use that with my kids a lot now, so if they're watching a video they can type along beside it and they can save that as a document. Do you want me to show it to you? There's a couple of faces looking at me there going, what? I can't show it to you. My computer doesn't seem to be working anymore. Okay, so probably going to open that in a minute. It basically opens a YouTube video on one half of the screen and a Word document kind of type thing, a notepad on the other side of the screen, and you can type as you're watching something. So my kids started off last year, they might say, I didn't understand, you were watching a video on fractions, okay? And they might come in and say, I didn't understand the bit about, you know, I understood halves and quarters, but I didn't understand thirds and sixths and whatever. And then the questions were getting shorter and less easy for, like, harder for me to understand what they were talking about. Like I had a kid coming in and saying, I didn't understand 1 minute 15 seconds to 1 minute 32 seconds. Like, okay, that's not the type of feedback I'm looking for from a piece of homework that you have. So this stuff now, they can save it, they can upload the notepad, and they can collaboratively write on it, which is cool. It's worth checking out. It won't work from here. I'll keep going. It levels the playing field at home. So I have, last year especially, and even this year, I had children whose, you know, I have kids who have been picked up by a minder, or kids who have been going straight to a creche, not a creche, but like from a creche, it is a creche I suppose, even though they're 10, and they're being collected there maybe at 6 or 7, and by the time they get home and have dinner or whatever, and just for them and what they're able to do homework wise, and it just makes it easier for them. It means that when they get home, it's getting rid of, you know, those questions where they answered the first few questions but they never answered the last few because they couldn't really remember what you said about that. And I kind of remembered it. My mum said she didn't know, and she said I should have listened, but I said I didn't think you said it, and you know, that kind of conversation is kind of gone because the tasks they're doing in class with me and with the other children, and it's not happening as much at home, so it doesn't need to happen. Another thing I found is I have a couple of children, and last year especially I had one lad who I was working with who had just moved to Dublin in around the beginning of the summertime. He started in our school in September. He was in 2nd class, so he was about 7 or 8. Mum had a little bit of English, Dad had no English, and the stuff he was doing at home, Dad was doing with him because Dad was picking him up from school, Mum was at work, they were doing the stuff. By about November, Mum came in to me and she was like, oh, thanks so much, you're teaching my husband English as well. Like, you know, the two of them are watching these videos at home, the two of them are doing these activities, and like, you know, Dad's English is really coming along as well, thanks very much, otherwise he wouldn't know what's going on. And would Dad be able to help him if he was going home doing activities based on what we had done in class? Even if I was giving him completely differentiated program, even if he was not doing the same stuff as what he was doing in class, if he has no help at home, you know, I think, anyway, this is my opinion. I get to spend a lot more time with the kids because we have a lot more time. When they come in, we're straight out, let's go, work. We know what we're doing, we know where we're going. The night before, we can hire the questioning at the end. So I'm using that time for something else. I've a list, a bank of questions, and I'm using Bloom's taxonomy, and you know, we're talking a bit more critically and higher order about the lessons. And that's not every child who's contributing. No, not every child is getting the step 5 on the list of questions. But we're having great discussions, whereas I never had time to do that before. You know, or I can put the questions online and they can chat about them. Or the kids have started to put them online because they use similar types of questions all the time. And I think that's important. So that's what we're doing now. Stop me if I'm talking too fast or rambling. I don't mind in Ireland, they keep shouting at you guys are just very quiet. I would have been shouting out a few times now, so yeah, I said this already, family members are watching them alongside stuff, and it's creating real life conversations, you know. Like, I had a mom recently who came up to me and went, she said, I really appreciate what you've been doing with this, because, you know, last year I'd say to him, what you do in school today? Don't know. Like, you know, and there's a real, I think we did this, or they might just give one bit of response, whereas now, with Edmodo, with parent codes, so parents they can read what we're doing, but they can't write and add into what we're doing, but they can see what we're doing. They can talk about it. They know, so they're able to, they're driving down the road, or they know we're looking at timetables, and they're going to the cinema and they're saying, well, you tell me what time it's on at. You're looking at timetables in school, and not every parent is probably doing that, but some are, and I think for a lot of them it makes it real life discussion, and it's invaluable. Where do I get my videos? There are lots of places I get them. I put the picture of myself up there. It's an old school one. I like that one. Because I make some myself, and to be honest, when I was doing research on this, children say they prefer to hear their teacher's voice over the Khan Academy man's voice. They understand you better, so if you don't like going on video, that's fine. I haven't videoed myself, as in, hello children. I video my hand though. I video myself with a whiteboard, my voice and my hand writing. So they can watch me, they can hear me, they can see my hand writing, and all they're getting a video is the screenshot of the whiteboard, if you know what I mean, and rubbing it out and putting it on.
Is there like a kind of set of equipment that a teacher can buy in order to get set up and making high quality videos?
I'm using a camcorder, a little tripod, my arm, whiteboard, and a marker from Mr. Price.
What about software for recording your voice and all that kind of thing? Is that?
There probably is. I'm doing a kind of an inexpensive budget version, but it's working out okay.
If you were doing screen recording, you could use something like Screen R, which is free, and just records the screen at the same time as you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you were doing something, you demonstrate on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's free for education.
Right.
Are these websites trying to subscribe to anything?
You can subscribe, but I don't. They're all free. And if you take this PowerPoint, they're all linked there. They're all hyperlinks there. So it's on my blog. You can grab it afterwards. I'll show you now. Some ideas of where you might start. It doesn't have to be video. Like people often say, oh, I can't make a video. I don't want to record myself. It can be anything and everything. It can be somebody else's video. It can be a document that you might have made, or a PowerPoint that you might have made to use in your classroom, except you're allowing the children to read it before they come in. You still might read it to them in class, but you've given them the benefit of being able to read it before they come in, and being able to access 6 months later when they're kind of going, oh, what was that she was saying about that? Whereas they can't rewind me, they can't always get me and say, as much as they like to interrupt you and say your name all the time, they can't. So, always. So, I think that for that it's fantastic. So they're just some ideas there. This is a slide I put in because a few weeks ago somebody asked me, but the nitty-gritty stuff, like the one-to-one honesty, and this is this. So, I get a lot more done. That's like the first thing. We get lots more done in class. Discussions tend to be led by the kids more because they know what they're coming in to talk about. It's not me pushing the conversation or me, guiding, learning them to a point where and then they kind of go, oh yeah, they come in knowing that. Well, kind of, and then we get further. So that's fantastic. There's much more higher order thinking than I have ever envisaged, and that's even when I used it last year as a resource teacher, learn support teacher with senior infants all the way up to 6th class. So I was using it last year from 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and that was across the board. There's a real life element to stuff. Because mom and dad know about something, or because mom and dad might have watched something with them or looked at something with them, when they come in the next day, they very often say, my mom was telling me that. So, it could be about World War II, but because and they come in with information that wasn't in the content that I had given them because they discussed it at home with mom and dad, whereas they weren't always doing that when they were going home to answer questions about something that we discussed in class. Do you get me? Yeah. They're no longer just listening the way you are now. They're active. The peer tutor kind of happening is natural. They need me less. There's a lot more inquiry stuff. The parents are engaging more. I've said a lot of this already. There's better communication all around. That can have pros and cons. The first time you get a little bleep on your phone to say there's a message at 5 o'clock or like 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock with a glass of wine in your hand, you kind of go, I'm not sure if I love this. But then you can just, open moderation, or you can knock off moderation, or you can just ignore ignore it or knock off beeps or just not have the app on your phone. But let's face it, when I was doing my research, I wanted it to work, so I did have them and I did answer them on a Friday night. I don't anymore. I don't have the focus about the technology. I mean, it is technology based. They do love the fact that they get to go online. They do love the fact that Edmodo looks like Facebook. Somebody asked them recently with a visitor in from one of the colleges of education in Dublin and said, "What's Edmodo?" to one of my kids, and he said, "It's Facebook for kids." I was kind of thinking, that's not what it is. But that's what they think it is. And you know, when other kids come into the class, they kind of say, "We just on Facebook in here," you know. So it's kind of interesting. But because they can relate to it, and because it's something that looks like something they want to do but can't do, but I'm letting them do, and we're learning in it, but they kind of seem to forget that bit because it's so exciting. It kind of hasn't been working, so it's fantastic. My kids are now flipping stuff, so my kids are now making videos and posting them online to teach their mums and dads how to do stuff. So you were talking about how do you teach variables or if-elses in Scratch. I have a kid in my class who's making videos to teach his dad how to use Scratch and then post them online. He's posting them so that my class can read them, but he wants his dad to look at them. So his dad goes on as a parent coach, watches these videos, and he's nice to even talking to his dad about it. The rest of the kids watch them, but it's for his dad. And I think, when you think about it, that's him flipping, the classroom in his head. He's now making content to send to his dad, so that when he sits down with his dad, he can say, "Well, did you watch the video? Well, let's try it." And I think that's great. He's only 10. Where to start? I did lots of internet safety stuff, Safer Scotland, and actually coincidentally, it's not just because I'm in Scotland that I have that slide. Safer Scotland have made fantastic videos. I forgot I was in Scotland that have that, but Safer Scotland have made fantastic videos for online bullying, and I don't know if you know anything about them. They're through a website called Planet Nutshell, and they have 3 groups. If you don't know them, check it out. We've used them in our school every year. We've used them for the last 3 years. They have 3 groups, so they've kind of junior end of the school, middle school, and then the senior end. The senior end we wouldn't really use in our school. They're kind of more lower end of secondary school. But they look at what is the internet, what is personal information, why shouldn't, what's a stranger online, and how, it's funny when you ask a kid, what is the internet, how big is it? It's huge, it's giant, it's a thing, it lives in all the answers you get are fantastic, but those videos are fantastic. You should check them out, planetnutshell.com, I think it is. We did lots and lots and lots of work about how to take notes, how to extract a key point from something. They might as well be your English lessons on comprehension for the year, and summarising for the year can be done in September before you start any of this, if you're going to do it. Being able to come in the next day and summarise what it was about, extract the parts that you did or didn't understand, come up with a really good question based on what they had done. And a lot of that, a lot of work was done on that in school before they were ever sent home to do any of this. Before we flipped anything, we did lots and lots of work on that, because it couldn't just be, we don't do homework anymore, we just watch videos. Mums and dads didn't like that. I had to do other colleagues and stuff. So do pick a platform, something like Edmodo. I know I've said it before, it's the only one I've ever used. I think it's fantastic and it's free. Do write to parents, and I ended up this year bringing my parents in and just having a little chat with them and explaining any sort of questions they had, and they were all great with it. One question I always get at home is, what about kids who don't have internet access? That only happened to me, it didn't happen this year. Last year I had a couple of kids, and by Christmas it was kind of gone, and not all of the kids have internet access, but they can access a device. So last year we were using rewritable DVDs, or a kid could bring in their iPod, and I could put all the stuff on their iPod at the beginning of the week, and they could take it off of them. Or they could bring in a USB stick, and they could take it off of them. So they were allowed to use a laptop or a computer at home, but they weren't allowed to use the internet until mum or dad got home from work, say, for instance, right? So they could use the laptop or the computer or the tablet. So once I could give them the content, they could access it. They didn't necessarily need the internet. Now, you might argue, well, are they not on Edmodo and stuff? Those kids can come in first thing in the morning to my class and turn on a laptop and add their content that way. It hasn't happened so much this year. This year most of my kids were able to do stuff straight away. But last year I had a child who, the stuff they had at home was gone to dad's work or mom's work, and they weren't allowed to use it. And we used USB keys and rewrite DVDs, and it wasn't ideal, but we just tried it and it worked. I said this already, don't expect just because you give them a video to watch that they're going to understand it. It's the same as not expecting that when you explain something to them once that they're going to understand it, they might not ever understand non-vision. Don't expect that every other member of staff in your school is going to like it. There's plenty of members of staff in my school who think I'm crazy. Don't assume that one video is enough or one piece of topic is enough, because it's not always. I'm going to skip through that. Okay, so if you want to follow our class are from Bianca on Twitter. We're also available for Skypes if anybody's class wants to link up and have a chat and do a project. We blog as well. We have I'll show you our blog now because that's where all our stuff is. Get in touch with us. We love to hear from people, especially from anybody that's got in touch with us so far has been in Australia and New Zealand. It's been very hard with time differences, sort of Skype calls and stuff. But Scotland would be much easier, and we'd more than welcome a call from anybody. Okay, I'm going to show you. How much time have I got? 5 minutes, okay. I'm just going to show you Edmodo really quickly, for people who haven't seen it. There's your website. It's his website. Okay, so it does look like Facebook, doesn't it? This is how it works. So as a teacher, you can God knows what the kids are saying. As a teacher, you can join up as a teacher, as a student. I don't want to know where I should have opened it on a clever page. I'm not taking it. Tell me, child. It's cold down a bit. Right. There we go. Right. I'm going to wait for that. One of my kids wasn't in school yesterday because she'd gone to the Netherlands. So she was motoring us through the day from the Netherlands. We were chatting to her. And kids who are sick all day at home are in touch with our class all day. What are you doing now? Please don't do history without me. Please don't do art without me. So even when, 2, 3, 4 Fridays ago there was an election in Ireland and our school was closed because the school was being used for the referendum for voting. And I got up at about 10:30 thinking, yeah, lie in on a Friday, right? And I had something like 26 posts to moderate from my class just from that morning, from kids who wanted to, who were just online going, did you know? They love this did you know stuff. So you can join as a teacher, as a student, or as a parent. So if you join as a teacher and you open a group, say you open your class, you get a specific code. I don't have to go up to the dodgy stuff, don't I? You get a code. What's she saying? Okay, so say that's our code, okay? Now, nobody can join. No other person can join. You can't take down my code. No other person can join. No other students can join without my code. So I joined up all of my children. I didn't give them the code because it was it just seemed like it was easier for me to do it really quickly. But all it is a case of I'm a student. What's your group code? Here's my group code. What's your name? They don't need email addresses, they don't need anything. They just need their name, what they want their username to be, and what they want their password to be. And that's it, they're in. And after that, they just need a username and password. We can embed stuff, we can link stuff. You can make small groups within your group. So as you can see here, we have garden, which is we've got green skills. We have math section, which is SCSE, which is geography, history, science. We have Welsh, which is the Irish language, music and English. We have, I started to split them up because, I'll show you the type of stuff they're posting, right? The type of stuff they're using it for now, as well as the flipped classroom, right? As well as what I've just been talking about. It's really cool to go home and aside from homework, and aside from anything I've asked them to do, they're going home and doing things and uploading it, and it's educational stuff, and they're sharing it with each other. And once one person does one type of thing, they all want to do it. And by it might take 2 or 3 weeks, but the majority of them. So this one kid recently went home and did a science experiment. He had Googled a science experiment. He videoed himself doing it. He uploaded it, And since then, about 18 kids in my class, about 29 in my class, have done it. Now, some of them have been on their side when it was uploaded, who were watching the video like this, but that's okay, it's their first time uploading a video. Some of them uploaded them to YouTube and embedded the video in Edmodo. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the things that they're learning how to do, as well as like separate to the content they're doing. So like Dylan here, I won't show you the video, but like,
this is a new project. Nowadays, eggs have data. This you can see.
do you know what I mean? So,
And in the old days, they didn't have data. So, and the way they do, were bad.
but the point is, he went home and he decided, I'm going to do this. And I said to him the next day, Dylan, how did you do that? Who helped you? Oh, nobody helped me, I did it myself. Yeah, but who helped you? Like, no, nobody helped me. I said, right, okay, who was holding the camera? Who's holding the phone? Oh no, I did a timer on the thing and I ran around. I smashed 3 eggs doing it. Okay, you didn't get help. Tell Mom I'm sorry. But since he's done that, so many more kids have done stuff like that. And it's like, it's nothing else, it's not homework, it's not anything. It's just, as well as the flipped classroom, using Edmodo or one of those virtual learning environments is giving them the potential to do stuff like this. We have a Did You Know board in our class. I'll knock them off. We have a Did You Know board, and it basically, once a week, you're in charge of the Did You Know board, and you can, it's just a little whiteboard, and you can write sort of facts on it and stuff. So if you're in charge this week, you can put one fact up for the week, or you can change it every day, and it's all sorts of facts. But the kids who are dying to get a Did You Know, like they might not be till after Christmas, they are Did You Know and all over the place up there. The amount of stuff I've learned, like Did You Know, a group of flamingos is called the Flamboyants. One of the kids posted that this morning. We're on our holidays. We have a week off, right? And this kid's posting Did You Knows. And I just think, aside from the flipped classroom, the possibilities that you have from using a virtual learning environment like Edmodo or any of those, Moodle is probably a bit more difficult, but Edmodo is free. I can't, like, you know, fantastic, safe, completely secure. You can completely moderate it as well, so you can approve every sort of post, or you can leave it open and you can change that depending on when you want.
Do you think you can show us like what it looks like when a student wants to know what they've got to do? Like they get home and they're like, what homework do I have, or what should I do?
Homework is brilliant. So Edmodo is fantastic for homework as well. So on a Saturday or a Friday, depending on when I've done my planning, you can post your homework for the week. Like, look at this, right? For instance, the other day we read a book called Water and Where Does It Come From? Okay, and it comes from the skies, the water cycle. It gets dirty. It goes to these filtrations. It goes back into the pipes. It goes into your house. Blah blah blah. Right. Sam is walking home with his phone, and one of his neighbours is getting his garden dug up. He takes this photo and he posts it, and he's like, "Look what I found! Water pipes!" And he comes in the next day and he's like, "Do you think they were water pipes?" I said, "I'd say they were. I asked before to take it. The builder said it was fine. I told him we could talk about it in school." Do you know what I mean? But like, you know, would he have done that? Would he have remembered to tell me the next day, "Oh, I seen a water pipe"? He might have, but he might not have. But the fact that he was like, "Oh, hang on a second, lads. You know, whoever he's walking home with, do you mind if I take a picture of those pipes? My teacher would love to see them, you know." I have one of my back in his pocket and walking down the road. But homework, you can set homework, there you go. This is just an example of that's a bad example of homework. But I'm not going to read that one. Because it's a different type of week this week because we're on holidays. But the point of the homework is you can set your homework as timed homework. So I can set it all on a Saturday for the week, and it will appear on Monday, it will appear on Tuesday, it will appear on Wednesday at certain times. Or you can set it, you can give them the whole homework for the week that they can see, or you can set it in different ways, or you can make them write it in their homework journals, you know, old school.
So if you
don't
made a
supposed to do
video,
that anymore in
you'd
my
see it on
class.
YouTube and then you put it on here and then it would come up as like a video on this website.
Yeah, so their homework might be to watch it and come up with, they might have to play a game, an extension activity game from something we've done in this class and comment on it. So, you know, like discuss with it. I thought they do stuff like, it was hard, but it was hard fun. you know, I didn't get it the first time, but I got it the second time. And they start talking to each other. What do you mean you couldn't get it? What part were you struggling with? Oh yeah, you just do this. Oh yeah, you know, grab the monkey by the tail and throw him over this and all will be well in the world. If it's a video, it could be summarise the video. It could be write down, I want bullet points of something new you learned from the video. I want, you know, it could be if it was science, it was a science experiment, okay, you've watched that science experiment now, how could we extend that science experiment? What could we do to change that? It could be whatever you want really, like, and it depends on the kids and it depends on what they're interested in. And my kids are Minecraft, crazy. So we have a new school building at the moment, and I have a couple of kids in my class who just aren't interested in anything, a couple of lads, and we're a new building that's been built next year, and I've given them a project of, you know, I've given them the map of the building, and I want them to build the school here, but we have a new building, it's going to be a separate building, it's not going to be an extension of, and build that and be able to bring the school on a tour of our new building. And so they're doing that as a project at the moment. And I can't get them off the computer now. You might argue, what are they, you know, people have argued, what are they learning from that, but you know, they have to look at, you know, anybody who's, I don't know if there's any Minecraft people here or not, but they need to look at, like, first of all they had to draw the area of the school, and then they had to make sure that, you know, that they had to plan the area of the foundations they were laying for the new building, and that all of the rooms that were going to fit in, and that the PE hall in the middle was going to be there, and that they could walk in and around and what they were going to put into it. And so then if they built it, they're designing, you know, what the walls might look like. I'm going to stop now. But that type of stuff, I just think you can do whatever you like with it. You can do all sorts of stuff and you can go out and just enjoy it. Yeah.
Can I just ask, because I use it a bit, but more as to put the resources. Do you use the polls and the quizzes and all that?
Yeah.
And that works really well.
Not always for anything other than, like, sometimes it can just be for fun. Like, last week I asked them, would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? And one of the kids asked me, well, it would depend. If I'm invisible, can I turn back? And if can I fly? Do I have wings or can I just fly? And I thought that was great. And I was like, yeah, higher order thinking's working. You know, she's 9. And she's like, well, because if I was going to be invisible forever, I wouldn't want to be invisible. But if I was going to have wings, I'd like to have wings and fly. But I wouldn't want to just be able to, like, Superman fly. You know, and I just thought, well, deadly, higher order thinking at its best. She didn't just answer the question, you know what I mean? And I keep pushing them, like I push them all the time. Like my mom was terrible with us when we were kids. You know, you couldn't believe anything you read in the paper. You couldn't believe anything you read anywhere. You had to question everything in our heads. And I'm like that now with the kids, you know. I push them and push them and push them to the point where they're like, oh, I don't know. Is everyone lying to us, you know? There's a big think critically and demand evidence kind of poster in our class, and that's kind of, I just think, yeah, I think if kids in my class thinking a bit more critically about the world and questioning stuff and not just accepting something that someone said it, you know, then, you know, it has to be a bit better. Someone else can teach them something else. Anyway, that's the blog if you want the stuff. Sorry, the kids stuff is probably the easier version to take down. It's wrongbianca.weebly.com. The kids stuff is the kids part, but my stuff is in Bianca's part. The kids page comes first. But the videos and the slides and all that stuff is in the Bianca section. And then you can browse through the computer club and stuff like that if you're interested. And tweet us, or Skype us, or chat us, or, you know, give me a shout if you're in Glasgow tonight, because I'm on my own. My flight doesn't leave till tomorrow and I don't know anyone. That's it, thank you.